The month of Ramadan is considered the holiest period in the Islamic calendar. Throughout the month, in obedience to God, Muslims fast from sunrise to sunset as a practice of self-discipline and remembrance of those who do not have a regular source of food and water. Alongside abstaining from food, water, and sexual pleasure, Muslims are also expected to be increasingly mindful of their behavior and utterances while engaging in acts of charity and nightly prayers. Now, today is the 1st of Shawwal in the Islamic calendar, and as Nigerian Muslims join others the world over to celebrate Eid-el-Fitr, what are the lessons learned, and how can these lessons be deployed to impact society and foster unity irrespective of differences? Welcome to Nigeria Today and Baraka de Sallah. I'm Victor Azu. Now joining me to give more insights to a discussion on lessons of Ramadan fast is Dr. Mohammed Kabir Adam, Imam of Abuja National Mosque. It's nice to have you join us, sir.
Thank you, and Baraka da Sallah.
All right, and also joining us is Dr. Tajuddin Adigun, Chief Imam, Zone 3 Jumat Mosque of the FCT. He is also Chairman, Committee of FCT Imams. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let me begin with Dr. Kabir Adam. What is the significance of Ramadan?
Well, Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ramadan is very, very significant to the life of Muslims as well as the entire humanity, because it is the month in which Allah in His infinite mercy sent down the revelation. The whole Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan. Of course, Quran serves as guidance to the entire humanity. It is an admonition also. So all righteousness are derived from the book of Allah, that is Quran. So Ramadan is just like a thankful act to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sent down to us His glorious book through His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Ramadan fast is very, very significant to the entire humanity.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mohammed Kabir Adam, for your opening shot. But let me get to Dr. Adigun now. What is a typical day like during Ramadan? What is a day's program typically like?
Well, we give thanks to Almighty Allah, who has spared our life to witness the beginning of Ramadan and the end of Ramadan. The life in Ramadan is so special and so different entirely, because it is a day in which one must cease from eating, cease from drinking, cease from also sexual desire. In fact, cease from utterances that are not relevant. In fact, all other organs of the body are restricted from committing anything that is unlawful. So it is just a training program. It looks like somebody who is undergoing a training that at the end of the training is going to have certificate of taqwa, that is God consciousness. That was why during Ramadan, a Muslim is expected, number one, to make sure the fasting itself is done in the right way. Not the way he wants it, but the way it has been institutionalized. Secondly, he should engage in much of reading of the Quran, because that is the book which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the month of Ramadan, of course in a night of majesty, the night of power, the night of decree, which is more than 1,000 months. So it means the Quran has to be rehearsed and recite over and over, and that's why we have the program of tafsir in this country, where people will go and listen to scholars who know the Quran in putting the content and the meaning into the languages that we understand. Also, in the daytime of Ramadan, among the activities is for one to give out charity. Charity is highly recommended for one who is fasting. Also,
right,
a lot of Allah's remembrance is done in the day of Ramadan.
All right, now just following what you have said, I'm just wondering, what actions or inactions can invalidate a fast, if any? Sporting activities like swimming, for instance.
Well, there are so many things that may render fasting to be vitiated or spoiled. For example, somebody who is fasting and he went and have sexual intercourse with his wife, despite the fact that sexual intercourse with his wife is lawful, but it spoiled the fasting. So for somebody who entered into the river, for example, if he was able to control his mouth and nose, water will not penetrate, he's okay. Otherwise, if water penetrates through the nose,
He's broken the fast.
yeah, the fast is spoiled.
All right. Now, no doubt, it's been a month full of sacrifice, like Dr. Digun had mentioned earlier. Sacrifice, worship, and good deeds. But how can the benefits of the month impact society, Dr. Adam?
Well, as my Imam rightly mentioned, Ramadan serves like an institution where we have graduate. So the graduate of Ramadan supposed to implement all the lessons they have learned from this period of Ramadan. So we can see, yes, the society can be beneficial to that as long as the Muslims implemented all the lessons they have learned, that is to continue giving out charities, righteousness, controlling their utterances, or being an obedient human being to the entire, to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as respecting the law of the land and respecting the people who are on or in authority. So you can see somebody who graduated from the school of Ramadan, definitely you find him to be law-abiding citizen.
All right. And Dr. Adigun, yes, school of Ramadan, there are lessons to be implemented, but what should be the attitude of Muslim faithful after Ramadan? And I ask because the good deeds are sometimes abandoned at the end of fasting by some.
Yes, of course, that is very clear, that one who went through the process of fasting in Ramadan must have learned so many lessons in life, which cannot be quantified by words. But rather, if really he achieves the aim, because a number of Muslims are fasting, but they will not abide with the rules. So hardly are they going to achieve the essence, because Allah himself mentioned in chapter 2, verses 183, he says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, we have prescribed fasting unto you as we have prescribed it on nations and generations before you. Which means it's not only this community of ours that is fasting. The people of Jesus Christ fasted. The people of Moses fasted. Abraham fasted. David fasted. Prophet before Rasulullah fasted. So fasting is not a new act of worship. Based on that, there are those who will be fasting and they are not achieving the essence of fasting, because their fasting may be found wanting in one thing or another. But those who really fasted, they are going to achieve the certificate of God consciousness. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Now, if this certificate is given and really on merit, then automatically after Ramadan there will be changes in the behavior. Maybe the woman at home might misbehave or do something wrong, and he will pardon her. She'll be surprised. What happened? It was not the husband I know before Ramadan, because Ramadan has checked his excesses. Or also the man may also misbehave, and the woman will be wondering, look at the husband apologizing to her, which has never happened in the last decades. So what happened? The Ramadan activities has really reformed. Even in office where he works, people will say, this man has changed, because he used to be so this and that, and now he's calm, he look disciplined, he look more responsible, because of the training of Ramadan. So the society, and especially those who are close to the person, will notice some changes in him, and he himself also will notice that he has uplifted himself spiritually and become better in terms of attitude, in terms of relationship with others, and in terms of also worship.
All right. Dr. Adam, is it possible for an individual, to have his fast truncated and he doesn't know?
Well,
is it possible that your fast is broken and you don't know? You just continue as if you're still fasting?
well, you see, Islam is very simple. Let's say somebody who is sleeping, and while sleeping, it happens that he had a dream, like having a sexual intercourse with his wife, for example. And when he wake up from that sleeping, of course, he saw, yes, sperm comes out from him. So ideally, his fasting is supposed to be spoiled. But since that it happens without his own knowledge, his fasting is not broken, still stand firm. So any act that may lead to spoil the fasting, if you did it without you knowing, your fasting stand firm.
In other words, if maybe somebody who is around you, the utterance of that person or the actions of that individual causes your fast to be truncated, would you really say that you don't know?
Well, if somebody approaches you with that kind of utterances and you are fasting, the Prophet of Islam says, Sallallahu, tell him, oh brother, please, I'm sorry, I'm fasting. Meaning, he is not supposed to reply to him the same way and manner he approaches him with that utterances, because it is part of the teaching of fasting not to alter any word that is utterance in nature. For example, in fact, even telling lies will not be there. Prophet of Islam made mention by saying, Allah in his infinite mercy says, he is not interested in your fasting as long as you will not cease from telling lies.
Indeed.
So you can see any devilish act is not supposed to be around the person who is fasting. And if somebody did it beside him, he should calm himself not to reply in such a way. So, yes.
All right, Dr. Adigu, what's your perspective on this?
Well, it is difficult for one to observe fasting, and the fasting is invalidated without him being knowing. It will be very difficult. Of course, there are circumstances that may warrant him to have his fasting invalidated knowingly but unwillingly, as rightly mentioned by doctor in dream, that he will know but he may not be at will. But where fasting is invalidated, life living, one will know it. But there are occasions whereby people take it for granted. For instance, the usage of the tongue. Tongue is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous to those who are fasting if care is not taken. That's why I always advise my humble self and those who are fasting to put their tongue on key and locked. Because the consequences of the tongue can render one's fasting invalidated, even though he did not eat, he did not drink, he did not validate any principles of fasting, but the tongue committing backbiting alone. Because the Quran clearly mentioned backbiting, slandering, talking ill of others in their absence invalidated the fasting. Allah says, أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَنْ يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. Will any one of you be able to take a knife and cut the flesh of his dead body and eat it? Of course, the answer is no. But where you are fasting, deliberately, you talk ill of somebody in absential, that is exactly you have consumed the flesh of that person. And your fasting actually is nowhere to be found. So people are not very careful of that aspect, and that can render their fasting invalidated.
All right. Well, let's pause here for a quick break. We'll continue the conversation afterwards. Please don't go away. Welcome back. And if you've just tuned in, the program is Nigeria Today, and of course, we are discussing the lessons of Ramadan fast. Now, Dr. Kabir Adam, the world and indeed Nigeria is witnessing a communal crisis due to intolerance. Is there a possible solution from the Ramadan period on peaceful coexistence?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, the essence of life is to understand that, yes, above all, we have our Creator who created us in diverse.
Okay.
So, for example, the entire world fast on the same period. That is from the first day of Ramadan up to the last day. All of us fasted in unity. So, the lessons of Ramadan, we can understand, yes, we can use it to serve as sacrifice. You know, you sacrifice your eating, your desire, or whatever. So, we as Nigerians facing different challenges, we have to make sacrifice so that we will embrace each other. We will forgive to each other so that we will live in peace with one another. Because Islam, or let me use fasting, is just to serve as an institution where so many things could be derived from it or could be learned from it. So Nigerians have to learn these lessons from Ramadan. As we did it together, let's take our country together so that at the end of the day we will reach a greater height.
Dr. Adigu?
Yes. I think our Chief Imam has rightly guided us on this note that Ramadan is where you learn lessons, and it's not meant for that Ramadan alone. That lesson is supposed to be extended to other months of the year, and not only to your own self or your family, but the nearest and the far community should also benefit from the training you have received. If you graduated from the university as a scientist, that certificate will not be of benefit when you don't actually assist yourself and the family and the mankind generally. Mm-hmm. So I believe that one has learned patience and perseverance. This patience and perseverance is what is lacking in most societies, where you see conflicts, where you see crises, where you see clashes, where you see differences, where you landed yourself in courts of judgment. Most of the cases, in fact, at family level, when there is no patience and perseverance, that family is going to be on fire. So, among the greatest lessons in Ramadan to those who are fasting is patience and perseverance. How? When you are thirsty and the water is available, and nobody is there to see you, but you sacrifice not to take it because you are extremely patient. When the food is there, you have it in abundance, and you are feeling the hunger biting, and you do not take it. So I think if you have learned that patience is supposed to be extended to immediate community and other communities. That's why if somebody wronged you, even because you have persevered in Ramadan, you have learned how to be patient in Ramadan, you are going to be patient with that fellow. And by being patient with him, you are promoting progress and peace and development in your nation, in your society.
And when you say this, Dr. Adigo, are you talking about, is it regardless of the enormity or the size or quantum of provocation that there may be?
Well, I may not limit it to some levels, but I will say that quality in you will make you to be matured and to behave maturely and responsibly, and somebody responsible. Now, if you are being provoked, if you have that quality in you, you will be able to take measures that are within the scope of the law.
Okay.
Because you have perseverance checking your excesses. There are a number of people who have been provoked, but the reaction they reacted is much more than the provocation, which means they are not patient. So I believe still, even if you are being over-provoked, if there is something similar to that, your patience, which you have learned in fasting, will make the situation moderate, and it will give the atmosphere a conducive situation that can be managed.
Right, thank you, Dr. Adigu. Now, Dr. Mohammed Kabir Adam, this I also liken to self-restraint, which is a positive universal concept, and it's often adhered to in the month of Ramadan. How can it be sustained? Perhaps forever.
Yeah, that is why Allah in His infinite mercy is always telling us to fast annually, so that the lessons that was learned from this year will continue. Before it start going down, another fasting will come, just to re-energize the previous lessons we have learned. So by doing so, you see, human beings are subjected to worship their creator by even their actions, not apart from for example, as far as Islam is concerned, apart from daily prayers. You can worship God through your appearance. You can worship God through your word, the word you are using to talk to people. You can worship God with it.
And even unspoken words.
Yes, yes, you can worship God. For example, when somebody tell beautiful word to his fellow human beings, Allah will reward him with the reward of somebody who give out charity. That's what Islam mentioned, or that what our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu made mention. So the lessons of Ramadan supposed to be with us forever.
All right. Talking about charity and perhaps humanitarian gestures, Dr. Adigu, within the month of Ramadan, these are encouraged. Now, should this continue or end with the fasting?
Yes, that's a beautiful one there, because a Muslim is charged with responsibility of giving out, particularly in Ramadan. It is so because he too is feeling the pain of hunger and thirsty. And for those who are actually in comfort and convenience, some of them may not even know what the poor common man is actually undergoing, of a situation that is very hard on him. So by testing the pain of hunger and thirsty, that will give the heart more courage to give to others. And that's why you can notice in Ramadan, giving is actually almost everywhere. Now, that training that one has received in the month of Ramadan is expected to continue even after Ramadan, because all the lessons that were derived and learned in Ramadan, it is expected with the certificate you have collected also to extend the gesture beyond the month of Ramadan. And that means that if you are really sincere in what you have done in Ramadan, then the sincerity will continue, even though it may not be at with that that quantity, but at least part of it should continue, and especially the area of charity.
All right, I'm told to round off, but I can take 30 seconds to tell Dr. Kabir Adam to just briefly, what category of persons should these acts of charity be directed at or to?
Well, first of all, everybody who falls under the needy ones, he can be given that charity. Because Islam wanted from those who have to at least
to those who do not have?
Yes.
All right.
So that they too also have the joy.
So you cannot give actually to those who have like you?
No.
All right. Dr. Mohammed Kabir Adam, Imam of Abuja National Mosque, we thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
And Dr. Tajuddin Adigun, Chief Imam Zone 3 Jumat Mosque of the FCT and Chairman, Committee of FCT Imams. Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you so much for having us.
Now, Nigeria Today is live every weekday at 7:30 in the evening, but you can watch this and other editions of the program on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Victor Azu. Thanks for watching and join us again.